Hello everyone and welcome to ZP Productions. Today we will be retesting the AT60 and today will be a proper shotgun mic review which I will test various things of a shotgun mic. The reason I'm restarting this whole test is because the last time the AT60 I tested with the windshield, I noticed that it changes the sound significantly compared to the one on the MKH. So I decided to retest it to really reconfirm the sound differences, if any, between the 416. Now, since I'm going to do a proper test, let me explain my room setup and of course how am I going to record this to actually give you a proper hearing experience of mics. Especially every test, I will make sure I'll be comparing to something of similar price point, slightly lower or slightly higher than the mic itself. So in today's test is the AT60 and I'll be comparing with the 416. And this is done in a relatively sound treated room. So this is my room here and it is sound treated. There is foam at the side, foam in the front left. The only side that has no foam is on the right, which is my window, and the window is actually double curtained. So I hope that there is not much sound from there. Even my ceiling is foam and my floor is carpeted. So I absorb as much sound as possible to give you a good understanding on how the mic will sound like sonically. And for recording wise, I'm doing through my Mix Pre-3. You can see here, this is the Mix Pre-3 version 2. So you guys can hear the sound quality from the mics. This is of course a relatively good recorder. So I think whatever you hear is probably as good as it gets. In terms of test wise, I'll be doing a lot more tests than in my previous video, and this is to let you guys hear really how does the mic sound like. So currently, of course, the mic is in shotgun position. Normally, how you put the mic in a closed shotgun position that is off the camera itself. Currently, you can see the mic, but if I crop it later, you probably can't see anymore. I'll be testing, of course, the on-axis test, the off-axis test, and I'll also be playing some traffic sound on my speakers on left side later, and that will simulate outdoor tests in terms of rejection while I'm speaking, so you guys can hear how it sounds like. And also, I'll be doing a lot more other tests. I've written it on my phone here, so I'm just actually referencing it. I'll also be letting you guys hear room noise, and then, of course, this mic close up, then a bit of pop test, and then I'll be putting this mic 2 feet away from me and let you guys hear how it sounds like when you are 2 feet away from the subject itself. So there are various tests that's going to be carried out, and if you want to hear a specific test, do look down in the description of the video and you can see the various bookmarks there. So before we start, let's talk about the mic itself. This is the AT60, a mic that is launched in the last 10 years. This is the version 2. I went online and read there is actually a version 1 and a version 2. The version 1 had some issues and Sennheiser has already understand that the issues exist and they replace it. So in version 2, this is the one with the black ring in the between the both front and back unit. There's a black washer type ring, and that's to indicate that this is the version 2 of the AT60 which have the problems fixed. Now the AT60 comes in a box like this, and then inside the box, let's open the box and take a look. It's a book with a measurement. This is the frequency response chart. And this is, of course, one that is measured for this particular mic. So there's serial number and who tested everything. Then it comes in a foam case. There is the foam windshield, which I used previously. This is a very thick one, very resistive to, I think, wind, because that is what they claim. That's the reason why this changes the sound so significantly. Then, of course, there is the mic holder. Then there is, of course, the mic case itself, which is like this now. Rather than giving you a big box like the 416, they give you this short little case to put the mic in, and that's all. Maybe because they position this as a very professional mic that you're going to use in a blimp or something, so they decided that the mic holder and the windshield is something that you will never carry out, so they give you this case. I think it's fine if you are truly using it like that, but I would have hoped they give a box, because in the end of the day, almost every mic maker gives a proper box, and this cover box is definitely not a proper box if you ask me. And this case can only hold a mic and nothing else, so it's a little bit sad. Now let's talk about the mic itself after we talk about the packaging. The mic itself is a super cardioid mic, same as the 416, and this is of course a shotgun mic with an interference tube. So, used in a room that has a lot of reverberation, there may be some issues here. The mic is relatively short. It is about 2/3 the length of the 416, and it also weighs 2/3 the weight, which means the mic is actually very well built still. I mean, 112 grams versus 175 grams and 2/3 the length, which means the mic is as well built as the 416 in terms of material usage. And in terms of weight, it's still quite heavy. I mean, 112 grams is light compared to the 416. But if you compare to the leaders like DPA and Sherps, it is still quite a heavy mic. I mean, both of these mic, even the CMIT 5U, which is the same length as the 416, weighs less than 100 grams. And the DPA 4017B only weighs like 68 grams. You know, that's the big difference. Now, I won't be talking about the rest of the specs because you can go online and read them. But all in all, you need to know one thing is that the frequency response of the 8060 has a very interesting slope upwards after I think 1K. There's a slope upwards all the way to 10 or 11K before sloping down. So this is unlike the 416, which has a bump, a significant looking bump at the later high frequency spectrum. This is not like a bump, this is like a ramp that goes up slowly. So in terms of sound wise, it will have I would say as a more prominent mids than the 416 while still maintaining the highs. So the last time I put the windshield, then it changed the sound significantly because it's killing away the highs. So I hope that this video will give you a better sound experience between the 8060 and the 416. Just one thing to note is that you've been seeing the mic changing at the left-hand side, and that is because I'm letting you guys hear as I speak. I will switch the mic to let you guys hear whether is there any difference between 8060 and the 416. So that's pretty much it. Okay, that's so much the physical part of things. Both of these mic has no switches, so there's nothing to talk about. Let's talk about the test I'm going to carry out first. The test itself, as I said, first is the standard shotgun test on axis. Later, I'll be moving around to show you how the off axis sound like when you move off the nice central region of the mic itself. Then I will be playing some traffic sound to show you how the rejection sound like. You know, I'll play a traffic sound from my speaker to the left. Anyway, mine is a treated room, so there is no reverb, so it's only coming from the left side. And then you can hear how does it sound like with a traffic to the left while I'm speaking. And then after that, I'll keep quiet and let you guys hear how it sounds like in terms of the room ambient sound. Followed by, I'll move this mic as close as possible to me. About 2 inches away, I will speak into the mic like a voice over mic. Then I will try some pop test on the mic itself. Followed by, I'll shift this mic up 2 feet and let you guys hear how the mic sounds like 2 feet away. And that's pretty much all the tests I'll be doing. So it gives you a good understanding on how the mic will sound like in a variety of situations, even though I'm just in the room here. I hope you enjoy this short little test. So let's carry on with the first test, which is the on-axis test. I mean, so far I've been speaking on-axis, so you guys will know how the on-axis sound like. So the next test after the on-axis test, of course, is the off-axis test, and I'll be shifting left and right a few times so that you guys can hear, and I'll be alternating the audio. Now, this is a supplementary off-axis test because the previous one I was moving my head too quickly. So let's try again. This is in the center. Now I'm moving slightly to my left. So this is slightly to the left. I'm moving slightly to the right again. I'm moving slightly right. So let you guys hear how the off-axis sound. So rather than moving so much, I'll move slightly to the left again and then let you guys hear the off-axis sound, and then slightly to the right again to let you guys hear the off-axis sound. So, you know, this off-axis sound is something that the 8060 should sound better, but before that, my previous test, I was moving a little bit too much and too quickly, so maybe there was no difference. So I'm now trying to move a little bit slower and talk a little bit more so you guys can hear if there are any difference. Of course, just to note that the mics are really close together. I mean, they are just 2 cm apart. Definitely, you know, there is some bias in such a distance between which is the left mic, and in this case, to my left is actually the 416 and to my right is the 8060. But you guys can hear throughout the small little movement now, I'm moving this slow off-axis test to let you guys hear a better representation. The next thing I'm going to play is some traffic sound from my speaker to the left, and I'll continue speaking. So now you can hear some traffic sound, and it's really, really loud. I mean, this is the full volume of the speaker to my left, and I'm actually talking really loudly so that you guys can hear in the microphone itself. So I'm not really sure which is a better mic in such situation, but this is a good approximation to how a rejection will sound like from the side, and let you guys hear how the interference tube and how the shotgun mic will fare in such a situation. So that's it for the rejection test. And now the next test will be the room noise test. I will also hold my breath for these few seconds and alternate between both mics. And that's it for the room noise test. The next test I'm going to do is, of course, the close-up ones and the pop test, and followed by a 2 feet test. So let's do the close-up test first. This is now the close-up test, and this is a good approximation if you are intending to use both of these mics as voice-over mics. Now, of course, my voice is not the nicest voice in the world, but this is a good approximation on how they will sound like if you're intending to buy the mics for the purpose of voice-over. Now, the 416 is quite famous as a voice-over mic. So how does the 8060 sound like? That's for you guys to hear in this voice-over test. So the next test will be the pop test, and I will say, Peter Piper pick a pack of pickled peppers. 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 The next test I'm gonna do is when these mics are placed 2 feet above me. So it is significantly higher. You will not see the mic anymore in the frame itself. Okay, now you notice that I sit back a bit because I found that my mic stands could not go so high. So what happened is that I'm actually now measured about 2 feet away from both of these mics. You can see that the mic is actually off my arm's length. And I let you guys hear how does it sound like if you are placed 2 feet away. Now, just to note that, of course, my room is relatively treated. There are things all around, but you see the wall behind is totally foam. So just take it that if you are in a treated room, how does a mic 2 feet away sound like? In a real world where there's a lot of reverberations, I think both of these mics will sound very different because of the reverbs that are coming in and interfering with the sound, and especially you're 2 feet away, it will definitely affect your sound quality itself. So that's pretty much it for the sound quality 2 feet away. 2 feet away. Okay, I'm back again, and now the mics are back in about 6 inches away from me, just above my head. So you guys can hear back how it sounds like as a normal shotgun position mic. Now, I did a lot of tests so far, so I'll let you guys listen a bit, and then I'll come to a final conclusion in a few moments' time while I listen to the mics themselves. So, pretty much, after I hear everything, I think that both of these mics are really similar. I mean, the 8060 has a more, I find, natural sounding voice. That's because the 416 has a significant boost in the high presence, or I should say a hum in the high presence. So if you really hear closely, you'll find that the 416 has this higher presence boost sounding frequency. I do not know how to describe it, but you can hear it there. While the 8060 has more forward mids, which can be quite interesting and useful at times where you want the person to feel more upfront. That is in terms of sound. I think that between both of them is a personal preference. If you want a slightly more natural sound without the very obvious high presence boost, I think the 8060 is slightly better. But you want that clarity, that crunch in the sound, then the 416 may be the slightly better choice. Then in terms of all the tests itself, I find that there wasn't much difference. I mean, the biggest difference, very, very obvious difference, is that firstly, the 8060 definitely has a slightly lower noise floor. I mean, you can hear it 2 to 3 decibel difference. And then the 416 itself has a much more pop resistance sound itself. I mean, you can go really, very close, and even if it does pop, it's very minor, and if you put a windshield over it, you probably can remove it totally. So as a voice-over mic, I would say as the 8060 probably is a slightly better mic because it's just not so easy to make a mess out of your voice. Of course, you can put a pop filter, but that's another thing of its own. And between all other tests, I would say as it depends on your personal preference. I find that, for example, in the loud traffic noise test, between both of these mic, I would say as the 416 have this high presence, so it makes it more clear, but the 8060 do capture the body of the sound still and maintains it throughout. Very slight difference. I wouldn't say it's a big deal and a whole lot of difference between them. Maybe I'm not the best listener for such a thing because I'm not very experienced in using boom mics and shotgun mics, so maybe you guys can make a better decision on that. Everything else, I will let you guys listen and then make a conclusion. Do leave a comments below. I'll try to do all my future reviews like this with a more extensive test and more structured test itself, so you guys can actually compare between tests. I will always put 2 mics together of a very similar pricing, or at least try to get a similar price bracket so you guys can compare between them. The next one, I'll redo all my 416, my NTG4 Plus, and I also have a very cheap Boya mic to actually try out. And then I will retry my friend's DPA 4017B to give a better comparison between them. And when I do have time, I'll bring the mics out to do an outdoor comparison rather than the simulated one down here. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you next time. Bye bye. Tell me what is your preferred mic. Do like and subscribe for more of such videos.